So we're at Newcastle United's Media Centre here at Whitley Park. We were expecting to speak to Eddie Howe this morning about Newcastle United's Carabao Cup tie against Wimbledon. We're told the press conference was cancelled. Eddie Howe would not be facing the media this morning because the game has been postponed down at AFC Wimbledon's Plough Lane. The reason because of flooding down there. Torrential rain and pitch problems mean the game isn't going to take place certainly tomorrow night. And now the two clubs are in talks about when it will get played, if it gets played at all. The rulebook does state that the game can be forfeited as well, but something Newcastle United or Wimbledon certainly won't want. Both teams would, on paper, want this game played. It does come at a time where fixtures are coming thick and fast, but for Newcastle, they know they've got a game on Saturday as well against Manchester City, the early kick-off. They don't want to have less preparation time. So a lot of talk must take place now between the two clubs and the AFL on how they resolve this fixture. But this morning gets off to a bit of a shock start for Newcastle and Wimbledon. So very much a change of plan for Newcastle United after what we thought was going to be an exciting Carabao Cup week, heading down to Wimbledon's Plough Lane. We've now all seen the pictures. Definitely not going to be any football played on there for a while, given a few sinkholes have appeared and it looks in an absolute mess. And you've got to feel sorry for AFC Wimbledon because it was supposed to be their big night. And it was also going to be a big night for Newcastle. Let's be totally honest, they needed to bounce back from that game against Fulham. Now, for Eddie Howe, he gets the opportunity to perhaps review that defeat in greater detail, and there's probably quite a lot that needs to be looked at really from behind the scenes. Certainly the way Newcastle started the game, it just looked like something was wrong for some reason. Even as I've reported on, the warm-up didn't look good. You've seen Kieran Trippier trying to G players up and wanting a bit more zip about the place, but that transferred into the start of the game and Newcastle were 2-0 down. So instead of being able to move on quickly from Fulham, Newcastle are now having the opportunity to hold a bit of an inquest, I suppose, behind the scenes. We turned up today at the press conference. Eddie Howe not there. Obviously, the press conference completely cancelled. Journalists were already on the scene for the press conference, but we now await details of when this game could get rescheduled. I could probably stand here and talk about what could happen, what might happen, but until we know for sure, there's absolutely no point delving into it. As soon as it's announced, then obviously we'll be reporting on it, so there's no point going into the potential arrangements for that game. But look, whenever it gets played, it's a chance for Newcastle to get into that next round. Newcastle probably needed that little boost this week. Looks like they're now going to have extra time to prepare for the Manchester City game, and that could be very tasty given what we witnessed with Arsenal yesterday. But look, Newcastle, a bit of a reality check on Saturday. You now have to move on. I think every player knows that they can do a lot better than that, and I don't think anyone will argue with that behind the scenes. Yes, they might want to prove a few people wrong. That's good because it means that Newcastle can bounce back quickly and get on with what had been a decent start points-wise to the Premier League season. But ultimately, Newcastle let themselves down a little bit. I think they know that, and they've got to move on quickly. So, yeah, it's not the build-up for Man City is now underway after this postponement at Wimbledon, and we move on to the next Premier League fixture very quickly.